It's time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now. And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters, welcome back to PSGL Season 29, Round 15, the grand finale, and where else could it possibly be but in wonderful Brazil? It is, of course, Interlagos. My name's King Kodiak and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box for this final time of the year, I'm very glad to say it is the one and only Aladar.
Hello, hi. Yes, no, I'm very glad to be back for just one more time this year. Sadly, it can't be anymore. This is, of course, the final round of the season. We have everything wrapped up in the championship, of course, but still plenty for the drivers to actually fight for out there.
Absolutely. So, for those unfamiliar with the track, let's have a look at the track map, and there it is. 15 turns, 4.3 kilometers, just over 2.5 miles, 2 DRS zones, and well, it's just a track that has seen so much action over its long history. And yeah, it's anyone that loves any kind of racing knows this track. It's seen championships come affray. It's seen monstrous wins and comebacks and all sorts. I'm thinking Sebastian Vettel facing the wrong way after turn one in the Red Bull in 2000 and insert number here. Yeah, it's. I'm a big fan of Interlagos, in case you can tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think pretty much everyone, to be honest, is a big fan of Interlagos. As if you, it's definitely got a couple of my favorite F1 memories as well. I'm very partial to Giancarlo Fisichella myself, so his first win being there, that's definitely
of course
up there when he won in the Jordan back in 2003, and took a while to sort out, but still, that's right up there in terms of my favorite occasions at the track. It's also actually home to my most controversial F1 opinion, I would say, which is that Esteban Ocon did absolutely nothing wrong, and it was entirely Max Verstappen's fault.
Oh, this was it last year or the year before?
I think it's I think it might even be 2018, or 2019, one of the two.
This will be where he shoved him on the weighbridge.
The incident that preceded that. Yes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I can understand why you label that one as a controversial one.
It's strange. It seems cut and dry to me, but no one else seems to agree. So I don't know what's going on there. But
he was trying to unlap himself from the leader and took the leader out. So that's going to be a difficult one to kind of justify. That
I can go on the justifying tirade right now if you'd like, but I fear we've probably got more interesting things to talk about.
We have other races to discuss, let's be honest, and that is we're all entitled to our opinion. Let's not be too hard here. Right, we've got a lot of driver swap outs to mention. So John Evans is being changed to Leo. Is Leo with us?
He is, yes.
Where is he?
Eduardo Leo. He is here. Currently sitting in an Aston Martin for the day.
That would be correct. Oh, there he is. Yes, I'm being blind. Jeffrey Ritchie has a race ban from last time out, so he will not be with us. He is being replaced by returning to F2, Olas Ozildrim. Glad to see him back. Had his foray in F1 before the F1 season was tied up. Andreas Dormeyer is not with us. He's being replaced by Josh Kazani. WOR Josh, although the O is an X in this instance. Jakob Norbert in the Ferrari is being replaced by Ika Bania. Is Ika with us? I'm assuming so. Is he?
Yes, he is. He's here in the Ferrari, as he should be, right down towards the bottom.
Lovely. I only spotted one Ferrari then. Joe is not with us. He's replaced by Luke Smith. Christian Sandell is replaced by Primoz I rehearsed this in my head. Miklovic. Sam McBride is replaced by JST. And Mr. Villacampa is replaced by a name I'm not familiar with, but hopefully will become more so, known as on Discord as 1 Second.
Yes, I believe also known as Andrei Tarabukin. You may be familiar with him, the Russian driver.
Tarabukin. Yes, I couldn't quite. I remember the tie-up there. I couldn't remember his Discord name, but we are heading trackside. So let's get rid of the banner. Just waiting for Mr. Martinez to load up. Hopefully he hasn't had a problem, but we'll be loading in whether he's ready or not. Now, will we have rain? Make your bet, Mr. Hancocks. Will we have rain here in Brazil?
I'm going to bet no just before my screen reveals.
I'm going to go yes. Oh, there it is. And holy hell, that's a lot of rain.
Okay, well, I guess that's not a good start necessarily for any predictive analysis I might be doing here. To be fair, it is one of the circuits where rain is more likely than not, but I still think it's probably less than a 50% chance. So I stand by my decision to call no rain, even if it was just completely wrong in this.
Yeah, but I mean, we never know. We never know the weather forecast before we head into the race. That will make very clear. And everyone is, I think everyone's defaulted to full wet tyres. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But that looks pretty heavy, and there's water gathering in the pit lane that we can see from here. So we just have to, basically, we have to wait for someone to come and oh, there we go. We have our first jumper. Is that a Haas that's come out?
I think it's Christian Hausmann in the Alfa Romeo, actually.
Who's come
interestingly,
out on Inters.
Exactly, which surprises me. So he must think that the track is either the game, because the game has applied wet tyres to almost everyone by default. And usually the game's going to be correct about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's possible that means that this rain is going to lighten up pretty quickly, or that the rain itself isn't actually that heavy. It's just the track state, which is very wet right now. And then with cars driving around, that might sort out the issue.
It was Primoz Miklovic that came out. And he has come out in full wets. So one of the McLarens has come out. It's either Dylan Warren or Luke Smith. It's Dylan Warren that's come out. So, yeah, Christian Hausmann is lined up Inters.
Yeah,
I dare say. I mean, there's standing water everywhere. That's going to be a horror. He's done it though. He's committed to it. Well, I mean, look at the amount of standing water there is.
Yeah,
I mean, if he can get a decent lap on those Inters early on, he'll be set for a very good lap. Unless the rain, of course, lightens up.
It's possible here that the other possibility, I suppose, is that it's almost marginal between intermediates and wets right now, and it's only going to get wetter as time goes on, in which case Hausmann might be throwing some kind of gamble here. But I think it's more likely that he knows that it's going to get less wet as the session goes on, and he just feels like he'd rather go out there on intermediates at this moment in time to get a feeling for the tyre, even if they're not quite right for the circumstances. I doubt he'd be pushing that car so hard that he's going to risk throwing it into the wall or anything like that. So it's probably just a sort of comfort thing for him. Everyone else is, though, going out on wet tyres. I wouldn't expect Christian Hausmann to be fast on this first lap around.
Well, going out, of course, first means he starts his first time lap, coming up to... where is he coming up to? He's now coming down to Peronino. I'm not very good with pronouncing these corner names. I apologise in advance. Now the Bica de Pato.
Nice and easy one.
Yeah, that's a relatively simple one. Up at the top of the hill. Now down through Mugello. And now down to Junshao. And look at the amount of fighting he's having to do. Someone's caused a yellow in sector 2, but I'm not sure who. There's a McLaren and an Aston in there, but I think they're having a big... Look at the amount of wheel spin going on in Miklovic's car. That is squiggling all over the place, but he'll be the first to put a time on the board. Of course, no idea how representative this is going to... Oh, no, Gedone has binned it already, and we can see where he's done that.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. And there he is. You just saw him on the right-hand side of the screen. Yep, and there you see. So he's gone really, really wide at on the Descida de Largo on the second part of that and blatted the wall. 117.2 is what the first Alfa Romeo gets on the board. Like we said, we have no idea whether that's going to be any good or whether that's going to remain. I mean, at one point in that camera shot, the rain looked like it was horizontal. So
Yeah.
Yeah, this carries over to the race. Our drivers have an interesting time at 119.0 on Inters, which is not a bad effort actually, considering we're seeing 116, 117s with the full wets. Not a bad effort actually by Christian Hausmann.
Yeah, no, pretty good actually. Ghetto, by the way, that it's interesting to see someone going out on that part of the track. Usually, most parts of Interlagos where you risk losing the car, the walls are pretty far away, and that is one of them. But only if you manage to lose the car late enough through the corner. So he got quite unlucky by managing to hit a wall there, because that wall ends pretty soon after where he would have crashed into it. So, a matter of a few meters there, ending Ghetto's session prematurely. Otherwise, he would have just been able to dust himself off and get back out there. Right now, only a couple of drivers have actually been able to beat Miklavchic's time.
Ulis's Ildrim has spun. He said his time. Well, he's our pole man with the 169, and he's actually dropped it. Coming out of the where is he? He's coming out of the S's out of down to Paranino
now.
Letting Luke Smith go, who's got the fifth time on the ball, 117.527. Our driver's still setting very close times for the most part, even in these conditions. So yet again, F2 showing the way.
Yeah, just the drivers really evenly matched, and as you mentioned, as you allude to there, you would expect the gaps to be a bit bigger in these sorts of conditions because there's much more scope to make mistakes when it's much harder to drive on the circuit. And by and large, we are getting larger gaps than we would usually see here in F2, but much smaller gaps than someone unfamiliar with F2 might be expecting, nevertheless. So yeah, everyone doing a pretty good job of keeping it mostly on the island so far.
Hausmann's continued, interestingly.
Yeah, I think he's just going to keep going on those tyres until he reaches the crossover point. There is already a slightly sort of, not a dry line, but a damp rather than wet line forming on the circuit. It's only visible in certain corners, but it is there. And so Hausmann might find some improvement as time goes on.
Fair enough. Old Neon has either ended his session in the wall or in the pits. Just realised
Who's in the wall?
Oh,
Exit
no.
of turn 3, that was. I believe I just saw the little blip on the radar moving. Antoine Desaluski is also done, and I think that was just in the pit lane.
That one was in the pit lane, yeah. So he will start last, whether he likes it or not. Another victim in the exact same place that Getone has come to grief. Has claimed another victim. Keeping an eye on Christian Hausmann. Does he complete this lap? This will be the third time lap on these tyres. Nope. He looked like he was headlining for the wall there, but no, he's into the pits then. Ulisses Ildrin still at the top of the tree. Unsurprisingly, people doing several laps on the wet tyres to get the best out of them, and he's going to come and do another time lap. Does he improve? He does by a tenth and a half to do a 116.709.
Yeah, so a few drivers coming back in then. That'll be dictated largely by fuel rather than by how long they want to spend on the tyre, because with a wet or an intermediate tyre, you really can just pound around and do a fair few laps. Sam Bean actually yet to settle lap time, just crossed the line, but it had been invalidated, so he'll have to go again on this set of wet tyres. I'm just going to double check and see where that initial lap time would have put him. Of course, he is our champion. It was a 1:18.1, so it wasn't a particularly fast lap time, suggesting that he sort of backed out of it after he made the mistake that cost him that lap.
Mercedes pair of JST and Chan Akinci. I always struggle with his name for some reason, even though I've said it all season long. They've got themselves fourth and fifth with JST with a 17.149, and just a tenth and a half behind, or a tenth and a bit behind, I should say, is Chan Akinci. He was looking pretty strong last time out, but sadly his race rather undone itself, and through no real fault of his own. Has to be said, last time out in Baku. He's just invalidated that lap, as we saw. He's run out of fuel, and he'll be... He's sucking the tank dry, and he'll be crawling back to the pits to go again. Where's JST? Still on a time lap, or the fourth time lap on these tyres. Few people trying into now, and it does look like, if we go on board, that rain has eased. So less of the horizontal rain, and now a few people giving the Inters a try. But Christian Hausmann, ironically, the one that started on the Inters, has now gone to the wets.
That is, yeah, that's a bit strange. I don't really understand what Christian's idea is there. Maybe it's like a sort of training weight sort of situation where he's putting himself in intentionally adverse conditions and seeing if he can drive through them, so that when he's on the right tyre, he'll be even better, he'll be unleashed, and maybe that'll help him out. I don't know. Maybe it's all a confidence thing. 4 drivers, by the way, have DNF'd thus far.
Yes.
Only 2 of them actually through terminal damage. That's Neon and Ghetto, who both crashed out. Josh and Antoine are both just out of the session by their own volition.
Yes, Josh Kazani standing in for Andreas Dormeyer in the Alfa Romeo has parked it, doesn't fancy taking further part in this session in these conditions. Dylan Warren just coming over the line. He's on into tyres. He's looking good, and that's pole. So the now the crossover point is pretty much been reached.
Yeah.
That's his first time lap on those tyres as well. So a 16.228 for the McLaren. And this is going to see a big old scrabble, I'd have thought, for the Inter tyres. Paris Burrell. We haven't seen Paris for a while, but glad to see him back with us in the Red Bull. 1:17.766 currently set. He's out there on the intermediate tyres. Eduardo Leo's actually come back out on the wet tyres.
Yeah.
So he's not, well, unless he's not yet confident. Wow, and even you having to see the amount of right lock he's putting in for a left turn.
Should be back in the pits for him. I can't see any reason he'd stay out, and yeah, he's going to go back in. So it's just a misread, weirdly, from Edo Leo and actually from Christian Hausmann there. Both of them just misreading the conditions ever so slightly, which is unusual. Usually, most of these drivers will be experienced enough with the game to be able to tell, mainly by eyeballing it, but maybe by the lap times as well, when they should be getting out onto the intermediate tyre. You can see that almost everyone has this sort of unanimous decision to go onto the intermediates. It was only Hausmann and Leo who went back out on wets again. So that maybe as Paris Burrell and Dylan Warren go right up towards the top. They're much faster, the track is getting now. But just quickly on Leo and Hausmann, that sort of doesn't necessarily bode very well for their ability to make the right decisions in crossover points during the race itself.
Well, that's assuming we have a wet race. We could still have a dry one. That's not impossible. From a commentator's point of view, I love commentating on a wet race, but I'm sure our drivers have other opinions about that. Yep, absolutely. All remaining drivers, all 16 of them, have now switched over to the Inter tyres. We see Paris Burrell leading through it. I think that's Dylan Warren. Yep, it is indeed. The current pole sitter with a 15.383. That time now continuing to drop. Where is our champ? Sam Bead. Well, there we go. Primoz Miklovic has done a 15 flat to get on now to the top of the tree. Sam is coming through. That's down at Desida de Lago. One of the Mercedes getting out of the way. That could be either of them because they're both out on circuit. Up towards Ferradura, La Regina, and now the Essay. And Louis Welch now has his turn at the top of the tree with a 14.832. We'll keep an eye on what Mr. Bean, I wonder how many times he's been called that in his lifetime, which, whilst technically correct, is obviously, we all know what that's referring to. Dylan Warren jumps back up to second position with a 14.844. Yellow in sector 2, that's one of the Mercs slowing down, letting people through, I think. Yeah, indeed. Oh, purple sector 2, that's not a surprise for Sam Bean, just coming through Junshao with a very misbehaving car. Ruben Pedreño jumping up to third with a 14.890. Nicely done. What can Sam get on the board? Is it pole? It's looking good. Yes, it is. That's a 14.758 for the Williams.
Yeah, and he just gets immediately unseated by Ulas Yildirim, who was the next car down the road. This is quickly becoming one of those sessions where it's all about who's going to be last out there, who can time it right with the timer on the top left to make sure that they will have the last say in this qualifying session. Because look, there's Ika Baena and there's Andre Tarabukin. Every time someone goes past the line, it seems that they just move straight to the top. The track is improving at a rapid rate for now. And the question is as well, will that track improvement continue for the next 5 minutes, or will we see a plateau that will give us more of a level playing field?
Well, that is a very good question indeed, as the time continues to drop. Now Louis Welch again now jumping to the pole spot with a 14.464. Who's crossing the line next? That's Paris Burrell. That's just come over the line. The 14.654 sees him in fourth. One of the Alphas just crossed the line. That's got to be Hausmann. It is indeed, with a 15.182. Puts him into 11th. Who's coming over the line now? I believe that is Ruben Pedreño. That's not Ruben Pedreño. That is Ruben Pedreño. It was one of the Alphas, indeed, 14.678. Here we go. This is where the times become unbearably close. But people still have time to get in, get another set of tyres on, should they choose to. As Ulysses Zildrim now jumping up to second with a 40. Never mind, I can't even finish the sentence before that's changed again. Is Eduardo Leo, who was really looking hot, wasn't he, last week at Baku? And this is a driver that you're very keen to give a decent amount of airtime to, and rightly so, because he was absolutely stormy. Started second, didn't he?
He started up there in second, and the real impressive thing was that he was the most inexperienced driver in that field by quite a margin, and yet he was the only one, I'm pretty sure the only one, who kept it clean throughout the entire race. So, that was the really impressive thing.
Yeah.
His pace was also electric, though.
And it was Janik Inchi, I believe, that was our pole sitter last time out.
Yes.
And it was those two for quite some time. And then, unfortunately, it became a very chaotic race last time out. Speaking of Janik Inchi, there he is, just climbing the hill now, heading towards the line. Does he complete the lap? Let us see. Nope, he's in the pit lane, doesn't fancy it anymore on that one. He had the fuel for a bit more, but opted not to. And there's an Aston behind him that is also following him into the pit lane. Was that an Aston? No, it wasn't. It was an AlphaTauri. Beg your pardon. Is anyone going to complete another lap? McLaren coming round, I'm assuming. Is that Luke Smith? Yeah, he's coming into the pits. JST is coming over the line. That's 12th with a 14.933. Here we go again. Less than a second. Covers the field.
Yeah, Primož Miklavčič, by the way, who jumped up to pole about 3 minutes ago. He's currently 15th, only ahead of Tom Martinez. So that shows you the track improvement we've experienced. He's actually going to be the first one out here for the final set of runs, unless JST, this is going to be his final set. He's a bit out of kilter with the rest of them, same for Christian Hausmann. Of the main stream of drivers, it's going to be Primož who is the first one out there for these final couple of attempts. He'll have enough fuel for at least 2 attempts, you'd have to imagine, on these intermediate tyres. And interestingly, he's already pretty low on his battery, so he might have to keep an eye on that as things go on, as he's already into the second sector of his lap through Pinheirinho, which is slippery at the best of times. It actually didn't look at all slippery from Primož there. Nice stuff.
Keeping it nice and settled, even getting past one of the Alpines. Didn't quite see which one of the Alpines he came past. Now down through Junshao and then rising. Getting to Junshao now. Mugello and Junshao now heading towards the line again. The car getting a little bit squiggly. He's trying to deploy all the horses through the puddles and what have you. Let's see what time he gets on the board. Currently 15.026, and that is going to be a 14.264, which returns the Alfa Romeo to the top of the tree.
Absolutely, and Dylan Warren, who's the next car along the road, isn't finding anything like that level of improvement. So I think that's just a really good lap here from Primož, rather than a reflection of the state of the track. We'll have to see, because there's a lot of people starting their flying laps right now. Sam Bean, currently only down in 11th. He necessarily hasn't been the best in qualifying of late. Qualifying hasn't been his strong suit in the last few races, and in fact, he hasn't really sniffed a win since back in round 7. So it's been a while for our champion since he actually stood on the top step of the podium, but this qualifying would be a good way to go about improving on that if he can get right towards the top of the order.
Very true, and only half a second separates Sam from the pole spot at the moment. So it's only half a second, but in this field, these tiny improvements see a very big positional gain. So, from that camera angle, that Aston Martin was very close, but it probably wasn't anywhere near as close as it seemed. Most people on a time. Ike Bania, he's retired. Both Ferraris are still moving, so he's had a technical trouble of some description. That's down by Decidio Del Lago, so that's another car that's parked it down there. Does Sam Bean improve? He does indeed, but not to pole. There's a 14.392. That's still a tenth of a bit off of newcomer Primož Miklavčič. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. Apologies if I'm not. A few more times that have just managed to squeak in before the flag drop. Christian Hausmann can do no more. He will start 15th and no higher with a 14.7. Dylan Warren has jumped up to second. A 14.375 for the McLaren. Nicely done. Paris Burrell jumps into second. That seems to be the hot topic at the moment. 14.304 still. Primož Miklavčič with that 14.264 stunning time.
Here comes Ruben Pedreño. I don't think he was terribly fast through the second sector, though, and he did improve, but not enough to make up a position. He'll be starting outside the top 10, and no benefit to that whatsoever. Lewis Welch there goes up into third, and Ulash has yielded him now to the top of the order, but there is still time for Primož to fight back. He's still out there on circuit, and he hasn't invalidated.
No, very true, and it's quite clear he's pushing on. Fuel tank may be nearly empty, but it doesn't really matter at this stage. Oh, Luke Smith with 14.103. Gets to the top of the tree now in the McLaren. Now, can Primož do anything about it? He's not going into the pit lane. Does he improve? Answer is no. He was a 10th down on that one. Andrei Tarabukin jumps up into 4th position. Wow, my goodness, a big flurry of laps there. Eduardo Leo, no, he can do no more. And that is everybody's lap. Well, what a surprise amount of, new pole times being set there. But wow, what a grid.
Yeah, the top 5 drivers here in this qualifying session, none of them were there for our last race back in Baku. Paris Burrell is a full-time driver, to be fair to him, but he hasn't raced in the last 3 at least. Luke Smith, Ulash has yielded him, Primož Miklavčič and Andrei Tarabukin, all reserve drivers here today and taking the top 4 spots. So a bit of a wake-up call for the regular guys.
Wow, indeed, yeah. I think Louis Welch was the highest kind of regular driver. Paris Burrell aside, you see, we haven't seen him for a little while. My goodness me. So there it is. Pole for Luke Smith. 114.103. Then it's Ulaš Zildrim, Primož Miklavčič and Andrei Tarabukin, row 2. Paris Burrell and Louis Welch, row 3. Dylan Warren and Sam Bean, row 4. Eduardo Leo and Jack Laverty, row 5. We didn't really mention Jack at all, but he's in the top 10. Nicely done. JST and Tom Martinez in row 6. Ikebania and Ruben Pedreño, row 7. The Spaniards ruling that particular race. Chana Kinchi and Christian Hausman, row 8. Neon and Get Owned, row 9. And Josh and Antoine Dezaluski rounding out the back of the field. So 3 cars not setting a time. Neon got a time before finding the wall. Ooh. This, it's lots of people that we don't know how to read. I mean, these could be kind of, wet masters for all we know. I mean, Ulish, we recognise, who was promoted up to F1 before that season came to an end. So he's ungodly quick. But what an absolutely brilliant time from Luke Smith. No disrespect to the rest of the field, because all of these are very, very good drivers, don't get me wrong. They can, they set in the wet while I could only dream of setting in the dry. So yeah, it's difficult to know, especially if this session doesn't continue. I'm still stuck on the on the qualifying list at the moment. Hopefully that does actually proceed. I'm glad it's not just me.
Yes, I am also stuck there, to be fair. So yeah, that's probably good news. Okay, so seems like Andrei Tarabukin was the issue for some reason. So hopefully we can get him back in, because he was one of our impressive guys in qualifying. He's already back, so that's pretty good news. Hopefully he'll be able to take control of his car on the formation lap, and we won't see any sort of shenanigans in that regard. But yeah, you mentioned those top guys, and there's I'm going to say 2 points which contradict each other right now, which is that was both incredibly close in qualifying. Wet conditions became intermediate conditions, but still, and I know we talked about it a bit, and I know we always talk about it, but it really was very close. Down in 15th was Chana Kinchi. He was half a second off the pole time, only half a second. So very impressive from the whole field once again. But the top 2 had over a 10th down to 3rd place Primož Miklavčič. So that is actually a wider margin than we would usually expect to see between the front row and the second row. So Luke Smith and Ulaš Zildrim really looking very good in those wet conditions. However, they better hope that they didn't strap on too much of a wet setup, because this is looking bone dry.
Yes, that is looking bone dry and burning hot, it would seem. So not a cloud to be found looking from the pit lane at the moment, as we are waiting for the drivers to load in. This is, of course, the time for them to make any setup changes. The tyre allocations are now completely free. Usual Formula 1 rules there. Because everyone has run wet, or because wet tyres have been used, there is no requirement for them to start. It would be a little tad unfortunate if they had to start on the intermediate tyres in these conditions. That would be a tad unfair. But we are counting down to the final rolling lap of the season, and indeed of 2021. What a year it's been here at PSGL across all of our splits. And if you're watching along in the stream, firstly, welcome. Always glad to have you along. If you're looking to take part, please do. There are many splits catering to many different skill levels and different levels of driver aids and things like that. So please do give it a try. Let's see what tyres. Oh, a bit of a mixture of tyres. Most people going for the mediums, but a few soft sprinkled in there.
Yeah, and this I like, actually. I'm glad that we get a wet qualifying in a dry race, because it just does away with the Q2 tyre rule, which I don't think brings a whole lot of value when it comes to the level of parity that we have in the fields here, because you don't really get those cars that might be able to take a risk on mediums because no one's that much faster than anyone else in the field. So yeah, this brings a level of strategic diversity that I don't think we usually see. And it means that, it's also more comparable to what happens in F1 esports as well, which is always going to be a good thing, because they, of course, get free tyre choice as well.
True enough, yes they do, as Sam Bean and Eduardo Leo have come together.
Yes.
That's what's caused them to... Now, they're not disqualified from the race, they are simply disqualified from the rolling lap, which means their tyres are going to be bone cold. Absolutely freezing cold. So they have got quite a disadvantage. Yes, they're on softer rubber, but that's going to not negate the fact that their tyres are going to be freezing. So, that could be interesting. Turn 1 is dicey at the best of times with 20 cars screaming towards it in anger, but when you've got a couple that are finding grip at a bit of a premium, that's going to be amusing. Oh, I just realised I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. I need to turn on my stuff, don't I? You'd have thought I'd have learned how to press the buttons by now.
One quick thing about Bean and Leo, by the way, actually them getting disqualified. Starting on soft tyres, they're the second and third guys on the soft tyres. If you're starting on the soft tyres, getting a good launch off the line is definitely part of your game plan. So the fact that they got disqualified very early on in that formation lap, they'll have cold tyres, that is going to undercut and undermine a significant aspect of what they were planning to do with their strategy at the start of this race.
And I don't think Andrei Tarabukin's actually taking control of his car. That still looks ghosted. Or he did for a while. It may well be solid, but we will see as the race continues. So then, we know this procedure by now. For the final time this year, it is time to wind them up and let them go. Who is going to be bravest on the brakes? That's a storming start from Luke Smith. Tries to cut off Ulysses Sildrum and sweeps through into the lead. Now, remaining in the lead. Oh, no, spin already. That was it was Miklovic, our newcomer to this split, if I can get the words out correctly, has already taken a spin as we see the rest of the field screaming through. And actually,
another one.
Oh no,
it's Laverty.
Oh, Jack Laverty's gone round, and it does look like
Pedreño and Neon, many stricken at the start here.
Oh dear. So, there's Miklovic just working his way through the back markets, and Neon and Pedreño have had a spin. Tarabukin is in control of his car. Sam Bean in 8th. Who was the other one that got disqualified? Eduardo Leo actually up to 6th. So they have managed to get semi-good starts. Probably not as good as they would have liked. That's the view from the Aston Martin in 6th position. But, I mean, that's a bit crazy, but no one has lost any carbon fibre as far as I can see. Ruben Pedreño is some distance off the back of the field. Yeah. Oh, Sirs, I say that his nose is not looking healthy at all, as Tarabukin has now gone up into 2nd position. Leo up into 5th position. Christian Hausmann's gone up into 11th. Wow, goodness me. Talking about arriving with a bang. Andrei Tarabukin already hustling the McLaren for the lead.
Yeah, everyone on soft tyres is just blitzing past the opposition right now. Tarabukin getting past us, Yildirim with ease, and Ikabayan are doing the same thing to JST as well. We're seeing Jack Laverty DNFing, Neon and Ruben Pedreño back into the pit lane. They all suffered damage. I think they came across Laverty, spun Williams in the middle of the corner and couldn't do anything about it. I'm not 100% certain, but that seemed like what happened to me. Sam Bean, by the way, he's just moved up into 7th, also making use of those soft tyres. It's only a matter of time before the soft tyre runners are all at the very front, but it's also only a matter of time before those soft tyres start to go away, as Leo, by the way, a wall of death around the outside of Pinheirino. Very, very gutsy stuff from him.
Someone's had their Weetabix. Wow, that was a great move, but he was confident in his grip to be able to make it work. Now, is Andrei Tarabukin going to make a move for the lead here on the back of the McLaren? They still have no DRS, bear in mind. but the slipstream should be enough, and the tyre difference alone should be enough in the Ferrari to make him go for the lead. Now Luke Smith defends the inside line. He's going to force the Ferrari to go the long way round. Can Luke defend it? Yes, he can, but Andre's still alongside. They come down through the center rest as DRS now available to them, and the McLaren still holds. Is holding off the Ferrari, goes very hard to the inside line. That's the view from Ulysse Silva behind. Can Tarabukin complete the move? Yes, he can. The Ferrari now up into the lead.
Yeah, but Luke Smith was not allowing him to do that if he had anything to say about it whatsoever. Here comes Edo Leo behind them, trying to go around the outside of Karadura. That so often leads to contact, but Ulas's Yildirim is wise enough to avoid it. And Leo! Oh my goodness, he's trying to take two in as many corners. Luke Smith was not ready for that one. They make a little bit of contact, and Luke Smith's not too happy about it as they make another bit of contact through Pinarino, and it's still going to be Enzo Pato. They fight as Luke Smith goes deep, trying to defend it from Leo, but he's too deep. And that is going to allow the stand-in the Aston Martin through. And that is unbelievably aggressive driving from the young Italian. That is going to ruffle some feathers, no doubt about it.
It was firm. I'd say it was fair, to be honest. But here comes a Zildjian then. Now on Luke Smith. He's gone from first to fourth in the same lap almost. Okay, he has managed to fend off Zildjian. Eduardo Leo. Wow, my goodness me. I can't even get the right words out in the right order, let alone anything else. What a stunning move that was. Here comes Azildrim again on Luke Smith. So Eduardo Leo is going to be challenging for the lead, it would seem. Oh my goodness, Luke Smith defending very hard from the Haas as they come down into turn 4. Ooh. Oh, they've both gone a bit wide, but Luke Smith has managed to hold on to the lead, whether Ulas had led him through, but no, he's taken the position coming up into Ferradura. Ulas Azildrim now having to fourth position right behind. Oh my goodness, that's Sam Bean on Paris Burrell. That's the soft shot Williams trying to basically do what Eduardo Leo's doing and make his way through the field. Now the champion has got up into 5th place. Fastest lap from Ruben Pedreño. Now he's on soft tyres at the tail end of the field. He's actually closing in on Neon, so they're at least keeping each other company at the tail end of the field. They're hoping for a safety car because Neon being 30 seconds back is going to have a bit of a lonely one, along with Primoz Miklovic in 17th position, very much on his own. Here comes Leo. Eduardo Leo on the outside line coming down towards the first turn, and he gets it done before they finish the braking zone. The Aston Martin takes the lead.
Yeah, nothing like setting the fastest lap of the race at the same moment as you take the lead of the race as well. Ika Baena, he's losing positions. He's left the session, and that Ferrari is falling down the order as a result. So that's terrible news for him because he started on the softs. He needed to be making hay while the sun is shining, but the clouds have obscured it now for him as he drops down into 14th. We have the two soft runners now out at the front. Interesting thing to note here, almost all of the medium tyre runners knew that they wouldn't be able to keep the soft tyre guys behind, and as such, they made sure to hold on to as much of their battery as possible. They have not been deploying their electrical charge, with one exception, and that's Luke Smith, who we saw defending as hard as he could from Tarabukin and from Edo Leo as well, and then from Ulas's Yildirim. He was actually down at about 16% battery charge on lap 4. That is poor battery management, and it's going to lead to him having trouble against Yildirim and against Paris Burrell and Sam Bean behind as well.
Neon had lost his front wing, so he's come in and parked it. His race going from bad to disastrous, so that leaves Ruben Pedreño very much on his own. But look at this, Andre Tarabukin, who's standing in for... Who was he standing in for? He was standing in for Villacampa in the Ferrari for this round, so he's eyeballing the back of the Aston Martin. He's not going to be close enough this time to make a move. Ulysse Zildjian is watching the battle unfold ahead of him, the lead medium runner, so definitely keep an eye on him. Oh, as he gets very out of shape going through Decided Largo, but keeps it on the straight and narrow at very least, and heading up towards SA now, down towards Peronino. There's Luke Smith, not out of the running yet. Sam Bean is lurking in the mirrors of the McLaren. He's looking for that 4th position, but he's not been able to make up as much time as Eduardo Leo has. But equally, Eduardo's not been able to run off into the sunset as much as he would have liked. So we come up through. Jun Shao once again. Oh, and you can see everyone's car is that's got a little twitch as they're trying to deploy all the horses on the exit of Jun Shao, and just not quite enough grip for them to do it. Here comes Sam Bean. Is he going to try and mug Luke Smith? Luke stays into the middle, tries to force the Williams wide. Whoa, went very deep at the first turn and manages to keep Sam Bean behind. But of course, this is where the second DRS zone is. And this is where the McLaren's not really going to have an answer to this. Goes to the inside line anyway. Sam Bean is forced to the outside line, and the McLaren's forced him wide and manages to hold on to fourth position is Sam Bean. Woo! Sam Bean trying to drive through the McLaren. He's not very happy about that, it would seem. He's, I think it was fair on the McLaren from a whoa, big move there from Sam Bean, but couldn't quite hold it. Forced the McLaren wide, coming through SA, now down to Paranino. My goodness me, what a scrap for fourth.
Yeah, and Luke Smith was not going to get fooled twice on that move at the exit or the end of Ferradura there into turn 7. That's exactly what Edo Leo did to him on about the second or third lap. And he was not about to let Sam Bean do the exact same thing. So better defense this time from Luke Smith. But he is really bare-knuckle brawling out there. He is doing everything he can. And I think he's probably driving without the calmest of emotions right now. As up at the front, Andre Tarabukin's going to breeze back past Eduardo Leo. And Leo having to save a bit of battery now. He used quite a lot to get past Tarabukin. There's about a 35% difference in Tarabukin's favor right now. So Leo needs to take a moment just to farm that electrical power back up. Otherwise, he's going to be vulnerable as time goes on.
He had a bit of a look there, but didn't commit to any kind of move on the inside line coming through the Descida de Lago once again through that turn 4. And he nailed to the back of the Ferrari. So the soft runners, but they have not managed to break away from the medium starters at all. So I think the best of those tyres has been burnt away now. As Ulysses Ildrim, he's lurking very large in the Aston's mirrors. Oh, go on.
A little bit of contact there between Sam Bean and Luke Smith in the middle of Pinarino. Smith was just slower than Bean thought he was going to be, and as a result, the Williams tapped the rear end of the McLaren through there, and that's probably just going to make Luke Smith that little bit less happy even than he was before, a little bit more frustrated even now in that cockpit. He'll be pretty much seething since what Edo Leo did to him on the in the opening couple of laps. To be fair, I think that was fine from Leo, but I know how these drivers react to those kind of incidents, and Luke Smith almost certainly won't be happy about it.
No, very true, but he's keeping an eye very much on the lead battle ahead. I mean, we really don't know how this is going to unfold. There's not a cloud in the sky, so weather won't feature in this. It's all going to be down to tyre management. And the medium starters obviously go onto the softer, quicker rubber towards the tail end of the race. Oh, well defended by Luke Smith. Sam Bean had nowhere to commit on either side of the McLaren, but that's forced Luke Smith into a bit deep, coming through turn 4, side by side, for Luke Smith and Sam Bean as they're coming up the hill. Can the Williams string around the outside? No, well defended again from Luke Smith, coming through Larangino, now down to Peronino. Nicely done.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of that, the defense into Descida de Lago, a little bit unnecessary. Sam Bean threw the dummy, and Luke Smith thought it was real. Sam Bean was not close enough to make the move on that occasion. And as a result, Luke Smith then had a poor exit of turn 5. That let Sam Bean up his inside, and that's what caused all that scrapping. Thankfully for them, they still haven't fallen outside of DRS range despite all that battling. Ulashes Yildirim, Eduardo Leo, and Tarabukin still right there within a second ahead of them.
Very true, and they're going to remain in that order for this time. Eduardo Leo close but not committing to the move as Icabeñas had another technical problem that sees him out of his car. Now is the Aston going to try and make the move down into turn 4? That's ironic as Icabeñas left his car. He says the fastest lap. And Eduardo Leo's not going to be close enough. He's not going to make a banzai from that far back. He knows better than that. But look at Ulysses Ildrim. He is absolutely attached to the two soft runners ahead, and Leo pushing the Ferrari up the hill, going up to Larandina. I can't say this properly, and I'm not going to attempt to much better than that. But I mean, I fancy Ulysses Ildrim for the win here because he's staying on pace with the two soft starters ahead of him. So the advantage is absolutely with him, but it's so easy to make a mistake with the field this bunched up. Bearing in mind that's first to 15th in this train. So if we jump back to Antoine Desalewski, he's only, well, here, there you go. He's only a couple of turns behind the leader, and they're all got DRS off the back of what is the Ferrari that's leading the way. So one mistake is going to be absolutely horrendously costly.
Yeah, and because they're all so close together, it does mean that even though Ulashes Yildirim clearly has an advantage on the two cars ahead in terms of his tyre strategy, and he has an advantage on Luke Smith behind in that Luke Smith has 15% battery charge and Ulas has 78 right now, as here goes Edo Leo trying to reclaim the lead again and will be allowed to do so under Tarabukin. Smart driving from the Russian, knows that there's only time to be lost in battling that. The race is not won or lost on lap 11, and he allows Eduardo Leo through.
Yeah, Eduardo Leo dumped his battery there, and Andre knew he's not silly enough to try and defend that. The pace difference was just a little bit big. Someone had a bit of a wiggle there. As we have the first track limit penalty on the board, it is Josh Kazani in the what's he in? He's in the Alpha, isn't he? At the 10 end of the field, has just pushed it a little bit too much. But with such a short lap, with the field so intense, that's not really a surprise. It's very easy to make those mistakes when you're trying to gain that tiny bit of advantage over those around you.
Yeah, and Eduardo Leo actually made a mistake on that lap on the exit of turn 7. That's allowed Andre Tarabukin to be a little bit closer to him, but you can see Tarabukin absolutely, if he used battery charge there, he would have had the lead. He didn't use it. He wasn't interested in the lead. Right now, all he needs to do is work with Eduardo Leo to do the best they can to defend against Ulas Yildirim in behind, who now, at this point, probably has a tyre advantage over the two soft runners.
I dare say, and he's almost pushing the Ferrari into turn 4 as they now start to climb the hill once again. Lap 12 now of this race. So it's very, very frantic action. When are we expecting the soft runners to come in? Around about 14, do you think?
I would say around about that mark. Yeah, that would be roughly where I'd expect to start seeing them. It can't be too much longer before these guys are going to be heading into the pit lane. They will be heading onto a set of mediums and just going to the end, definitely trying to pull a one-stop in this circumstance. But at the moment, everything just looks very easy for Ulas Yildirim. He's at literally 100% battery power. He's very close up behind the race leaders, had no trouble keeping them within DRS range, even when they had the tyre advantage earlier on. And Luke Smith is still having to burn quite a lot of his energy to keep up with Yildirim. The only issue for the Turkish driver now is that these soft tyre runners are significantly slower, and that's allowing a bit of respite to Luke Smith, and allowing the British driver there in the McLaren to farm up more of his battery power because the overall pace is lower.
Absolutely, as Tom Martinez relieves JST of 10th position. The Ferrari couldn't make the move on Edo Leo for the lead, but Ulas Yildirim's looking very, very racy now. Suddenly, Luke Smith, exactly as you say there, Jacob, that Luke Smith and Sam Bean are really, really large in the mirrors of the McLaren, so of the Williams, beg your pardon. So Sam may well try and make a move. Luke Smith may not just sit there. Ulas Yildirim is now looking like he's hustling the Ferrari hard. Now, if the soft runners are going to come in when we think they will, they're going to do another lap like this. And I think Ulas is getting a bit impatient now, but behind the soft starters.
I think if I'm Andre Tarabukin, I'm probably diving into the pit lane here because I know that Ulas Yildirim is about to get past me, and I want to try and get an undercut while I still can on Leo, but no, he stays out. So they're both going to stay out at the lead. Andre Tarabukin's going to try and get some safety by overtaking Eduardo Leo, but here comes Yildirim. Doesn't take both of them. He's patient. He just goes for the one. A bit of a tap there as they battle. Edo Leo still keeping his nose in there, and remarkable car control. It's very slippery through there when you're offline, but they both hold on to it. Pretty impressive stuff from the two of them, and Tarabukin slow up ahead, and that's going to allow Yildirim through onto the inside. He almost got caught by surprise there, pushed the Ferrari wide. Not sure he needed to do that, but that allows Leo back through and into second. Tarabukin will be unhappy with the treatment through turn 4 there.
Yeah, that may well be, but he left the door a little bit open. Ulas was not going to need another invitation at that one, as Christian Hausmann has ditched his soft tyres, puts him down into 16th, very lonely 16th position for him. But he's the first soft runner to get rid of them by design. Those that were on them earlier have had to change them through damage. So now surely Edo Leo and Andre Tarabukin are going to be coming in to get rid of this. And look at, riding on board with Luke Smith, you can see the pace advantage that Yildirim now has. And no, the soft runners aren't coming in. Here comes Luke Smith on the outside of Tarabukin, but gets boxed behind Edo Leo. This is going to get very uncomfortable coming into turn 1. Whoa, the Ferrari's almost drawing alongside the Aston. Now the McLaren has got something to say. Forces Andre Tarabukin onto the inside line. Coming through the S is Sam Bean. He's right there. That's the wrong car. That's the one I was aiming for. So Tarabukin trying to get back at Luke Smith. Yellow in sector 1. I think that's people going wide. Oh no, there's a problem further down. That's Getone, I think, that's had trouble and fallen down to 14th. My goodness me, so much scrapping going on. I'm a little surprised, actually. Like you, I thought the soft runners were going to come in exactly when you said, but I'm a little surprised they've chosen to carry on, especially now that the pace difference is really showing itself. 7/10 of a second Ulas Yildirim has to himself now.
Yeah, Ika Baena, I'm not sure if he's in control of his car, but he has headed into the pit lane. Christian Hausmann also did. a lap ago. Or no, sorry, on this lap. So he has pitted on lap 14. The 3 soft tyre runners at the front are the only ones still out there on that tyre other than Ruben Pedreño, who pitted on the opening lap of the race. So now, will they come in, or are they still going to stay out yet longer? Leo's staying out longer. In fact, they all are, as now here comes Samuel Bean on Andre Tarabukin. And Andre, will he let him through as he did with Leo earlier on? No, and they're going to fight, and that's going to be contact, and Sam Bean just holds on to the car. Good counter steering from him after the initial mistake. Paris Burrell will be thinking there's an opportunity to be had here, but he's also going to be worried about seeing those 3 cars up ahead potentially disappearing into the sunset, as now Tarabukin and Sam Bean still going to be fighting, and Tarabukin does a very good job of defending from the champion there.
Does indeed. Gatto's brought his car into the pits. His Primož Mikljevic has got his name on the penalty board as well. My goodness me. I wonder if there's a bit of decing going on, because we could see impact between Andre and Sam, but there didn't seem to be an awful lot of car deviation from the Ferrari. So there could be a bit of decing going on there, or just very, very good car control, both equally likely. But Ulas Zildjian, he's played an absolute blinder, because bearing in mind that Eduardo Lea is going to be coming into the pits very, very soon, and that is going to put Luke Smith outside of DRS range to Ulas Zildjian. Now, there's been a bit of a reconnect, which has caused an upset in the timings. Mind you saying that, now 2 of them have come in. Tarabukin and Sam Bean have come in, but Eduardo Leo's round!
And Luke Smith managed to avoid them, just about.
Wow, my goodness me, Ulas Zildjian spun round, has just got going again there, so that put him down to 10th place. Oh, he'll be livid about that. Eduardo Leo back in the lead, but that, oh my goodness me, that was a little bit scrappy.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that one again to be able to give a judgment on it. I didn't get a good enough look at it first time around. I was on board with Luke Smith, and he had an absolute Code Brown moment, managed to avoid somehow quick reactions from him to avoid as Yildirim, who was blocking the whole road ahead of him. He went to the right, cut the corner instead of hitting into the house. Definitely the right decision from the McLaren, but he was slow on the exit, and that's allowed Leo back into the race lead for the time being. But they will have all lost time in that, and that's actually going to be of great benefit to Andre Tarabukin and Sam Bean, who are trying to pull an undercut on Leo right now, and they might well just have been able to do so, because Leo will have lost time in that incident.
Absolutely. Now, is Eduardo Leo coming in? Yes, the Aston Martin coming in to get rid of his soft tyres. So that's going to hand the lead over to Luke Smith. Well, there would have been Ulas Zildjian, but now advantage McLaren in that one, but he's got Paris Burrell and Louis Welch and teammate Dylan Warren all in the DRS train behind. Actually, the odd one out is JST does not have DRS off of Dylan Warren ahead of him, as Josh Kazani has got another penalty on the board. Also, where does Edo Leo reappear in relation to Andre? Where are they? That's close. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. The side by side. Oh, the Ferrari and Aston. Who's going to win out here? Who's going to blink? Oh, wow, that was close. Riding on board, if I can get the right one, with Sam Bean. Look at that. Edo Leo had to use everything he had on Sam Bean on the inside line up the hill at Larangina. You don't find a move there very often. Demotes Andre Tarabukin down into 14th. What a move from the champion.
Yeah, very brave stuff, but it also required some heads-up driving from Andre Tarabukin, who again plays the sensible one in these circumstances. He does tend to do that, and he saw that Sam Bean was going to go for that move and thought, it's not worth a collision, I'm going to allow this to happen. And he let Sam Bean get alongside him. He didn't give him the position, but he definitely gave him more space on track than he perhaps would have legally needed to. So Sam Bean will probably need to virtually shake his hand after this one as Joshua Kozani retires from the session in the pit lane.
Oh, he was in the pit lane. Oh, no. Trouble for him.
Paris Burrell, meanwhile, taking the race lead away from Luke Smith through turn 4 and 5. And Louis Welch, in sympathy behind them, must have been caught ball watching a little bit, fight watching, and picks up a corner cutting penalty. I was surprised about that, because actually he was turning into my pick to win this race, but now with that, it's absolutely Paris Burrell who is most likely to win this race. Luke Smith is still having those electrical woes, those battery woes that he was having earlier on in the race.
Oh dear, oh dear. As Ulas Zildjian has been through the pits, there he is. And bearing in mind, he started on the mediums. So yeah, about 19. I did wonder whether it was going to be around 19 or so when the medium starters would come in. So he's now very much in no man's land. 4.6 seconds behind Andre Tarabukin. He's still in that three-way fight with Edo Leo and Sam Bean. As who's that in the pits? That's JST that's come in. So now some of the medium starters are coming in. As Tom Martinez and Antoine Zalewski having an argument for 6th position. The Alpine just about fending off the advances of I'm getting confused here. He's fighting off the advances of the Aston. Edo Leo has gotten ahead of Primož Miklovic, who's now been caught. His very old tyres are really showing themselves as on board with Tarabukin. Sam Bean did not want to be stuck behind Primož Miklovic at all. Now, surely Tarabukin needs to make a move here. He realises the speed differential goes from the outside line as Ulysses Zildjian gets his name on the penalty board. And Tarabukin does complete the move on the outside line coming through Larangina. Great move there from the Ferrari to maintain his position in this three-way fight between Edo Leo, Sam Bean and himself.
Yeah, he's not always been aggressive in this race, but that was one moment where he couldn't afford to be anything but aggressive, and he managed to make the move work. So good stuff from him. Paris Burrell pits from the race lead. Chanakinchi and Tom Martinez both coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 20 for a set of soft tyres in this 36-lap contest. That leaves 4 cars out there at the front who are all yet to pit, as well as Primož Miklavčić, who is still out there as well, but he had some issues on the opening lap.
That he did. So the effective race lead is going to go to Edo Leo once all the pit stops are done and dusted.
Yeah. Quick thing to note here, by the way, the undercut for those guys who pitted 1 lap ago for soft tyres, enormous. JST, who was really struggling holding up cars in the train, he was one of the slowest cars in that train, threatening to fall outside of DRS range of the cars ahead. He now is up into what is effectively potentially second, depending on what happens with the strategies. He's behind Ulysses Yildirim, who we saw falling back down to 10th. Both of them are ahead of Paris Burrell, who just pitted for the race from the race lead.
This is still very open to who's going to finish where, who's going to come into the top 3 now. Dylan Warren's got no choice. He has to continue unless he wanted to double stab behind his teammate. Luke Smith and Louis Welch are in, so Dylan's got to limp on very dead tires. He had no choice there, so he's more than likely going to really hurt as a result of that.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the beast. As who else has come out? JST has come in, so that's all the medium starters bar one have now ditched those tyres. Sam Bean is beginning to break away from Andre Tarabukin. Oh, the other Ferrari, there's Ika Bania. That's his ghost has spun. That's an impressive effort. So there's a Ferrari stranded at Peronino. Now it's getting underway. Just in front of Luke Smith, I think it is. No, that's the wrong McLaren. So that's Dylan Warren then. It's just bypassing the Ferrari entirely. So Ikebania is... Oh, that's pretty much... is that pretty much in the pits again?
No, that's the first pit stop there from Primož Miklavčić. He's just gone off. He was the last guy out there on mediums, gone onto a set of soft tyres. And he will... a last guy apart from Dylan Warren, of course, whose race has been utterly compromised by this, by the way. Antoine Zalewski also, his pit stop has left him outside of DRS range of the cars ahead. And I suspect we're going to see a similar thing for Dylan Warren, because the undercut has been very powerful for everyone who's been able to make use of it, most clearly in the case of Ulysses Yildirim, who pitted 1 lap earlier than everyone else for those soft tyres. And that must be very marginal, the fact that no one else made that decision, as here comes now JST up the inside of Ulysses Yildirim and into what might eventually become the race lead once things all shake out. The 3 guys on the mediums are up ahead of them, but not by much. 2 seconds separating JST and Andre Tarabukin as things stand. Dylan Warren, meanwhile, did come out behind Antoine Zalewski as Chanakinchi and Luke Smith are battling. The Mercedes and the McLaren. It's the Mercedes that loses out, but it's a safety car as well, because Christian Hausmann has DNF from from the
Yeah, we saw that he got a penalty for corner cutting, but bearing in mind he's at Jinsao, so I'm assuming... Whoops! Oh! That's Ruben Pedreño.
Yep.
Good catch. I wonder whether he must have either had a screen freeze or something like that, and his car's just straight-lined it, because the barrier there is miles away from the circuit, and Ruben Pedreño has come into the pits. He's going to ditch those medium tyres. I thought he might. I'm assuming Ikebania's car is still... Oh no, Ikebania's back in his car again, and he's doing what I expected him to do. He's going to come in. Oh, now this is going to be awkward a bit for the 3 medium runners at the front. Because they could easily have gone to the end of the race. What are they going to do? What will Edo Leo, Sam Bean, and Terry Buchan-Du. Yeah, they're continuing at the moment. I think they're going to have to, because they're not going to make that time back, are they? Not with the amount of laps we've got left.
No, absolutely not. And I think that, everyone else that's on soft tyres is on effectively fresh soft tyres. Maybe 2 laps, maybe 3 laps at most on those tyres. And it's not, if you have fresh soft tyres, you can say, well, I'll be able to fight back up through the field once I fall back to the end of the safety car snake. But when everyone else also has basically the same level of tyres as you, that differential is not there. You're not going to be able to have an easy time making your way up through the field. So the only hope is that these medium tyres will somehow hold up to the soft tyre runners, but we saw how much those mediums struggled at the beginning of the race relative to the soft tyre guys. So I don't think there's much hope for Leo, Bean, and Tara Buchan to end up on the podium. One bonus for them is they do have JST in 4th behind them. And he also, when he was on the medium tyres earlier, he looked a little bit slower than most of the other guys on the mediums. He's only found his way to the top because of the undercut he managed to pull, and then being able to deploy his battery to get past Ulash Özildirim as Ika Baena picks up a 5-second penalty for a collision with Leo, and then another 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. So yeah, I don't think we need to worry too much about what's happening to Ika Baena here at the back of the field. But as I was saying, that's the only saving grace for the front 3 is that JST is the one attacking them, rather than the likes of Paris Burrell and Luke Smith, who we know they're proven quantities, very, very fast drivers. Also, the other thing about JST, his tyres are ever so slightly older than most of the guys on softs.
Yeah, but you can't discount Ulas Özildirim. Now, yes, Ulas has a penalty to overcome, but we saw how fast he was in the previous phase. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see Özildirim gun for the win. It really depends on how long that safety car is going to be out for. I'm expecting another probably 2 laps because, of course, he's waiting for Get Owned and backwards to find the back of the pack. There's the Haas just working his way through the centre S's. We just saw Miklavcic. I will get that name right before the end of the day. Ruben Pedreño has still got some distance to go coming over the line. And, of course, Ika Baena, we have absolutely no... Well, that's where he is on our screen. God knows where he actually is because he's been here, there, and he's been disconnected and reconnected more times than I care to count. When he looks solid on my screen, so I'm assuming he's back in control of it again.
I think there might be some of the dreaded desync going on with Ika Baena, because that's the only way I can explain that 5-second penalty we saw for collision with Eduardo Leo, because they were nowhere near each other on circuit at that moment in time. So I suspect Ika Baena, the Spaniard, is desynchronized from us at this stage, but not 100% certain, but probably. So
the safety car is going to go for another lap at least, I would expect, because Ruben Pedreño is not at the back of the pack just yet. The game may ignore Ika Baena at the moment. I'm assuming the lights aren't out. No, we haven't had a message saying it's coming in, so it's another lap behind this safety car, so we're going to have 11 to go when this is all done and dusted. Sam Bean, current champion, or new champion I should say, or season 29 champion, to get the sentence completely right. He's there in second, but with medium tyres on, he's going to have the devil's own job keeping the rest of the pack behind him. And Tom Martinez is in the pits again.
Interesting.
Damage,
what
I'm assuming.
That about Ruben Pedreño also into the pit lane. No damage, just soft tyres. Okay, so Tom Martinez is hoping that, he wasn't in a fantastic position. He's lost a few positions on track by doing this, but he's hoping that this is going to allow him just that critical edge in the battles to come. I'm not sure there's enough laps, and I'm not sure there's enough difference in his tyre life compared to those he was in and around already to make this worthwhile. But he wasn't losing a whole lot by going for it anyway. He might have been just outside of the points potentially, although with penalties he'd have probably made it inside the points. But still, he's wanting more than points in this race, and this is the only way he's going to have a chance of achieving that.
Paris Burrell has decided, well, probably not decided, he's had a technical problem. There he is in the now slightly transparent Red Bull at the back of the shot. So he's had trouble. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues for others around him.
Well, that's potentially our... I would tentatively say that's the guy at the moment who's most likely to win this race, Paris Burrell, and he has just disconnected. So that makes maybe even Luke Smith the most likely guy now after all the turnarounds we've had as safety car coming in this lap. But Paris
Yes.
Barrel was in a prime seat, now disconnected. Terrible news for him.
Well, all bets are off, but in chat, place your bets on who you reckon is going to come away with the top honours this time around as the safety car then runs away and Edo Leo becomes in control of the race, weaving away. We all know this procedure by now. Let's ride on board with third place Ferrari of Andrei Tarabukin. Edo's taking his time. Doesn't want to go too quickly. And Paris Barrel is shot into the pits. Ghosted or not, along with Ika Baena. We don't know what those ghosts are doing. Oh, Edo's taking his time, but there he goes. We are racing again here in Interlagos. And Andrei Tarabukin is not wasting any time in getting on Sam Bean's case. Inside line coming into turn one. Riding on board with JST. Sam Bean's now got a penalty. As Dylan Warren's got a penalty as well. There's not many people that don't at this stage. Side by side as well, Luke Smith with JST riding on board with Ulysses Zildrim. Coming down into turn four, the McLaren's gone very deep, but the Mercedes hangs on to fourth position. Sam Bean manages to fend off Tarabukin as well. Edo Leo maintains the lead for now, but Edo's got a penalty, so this actually puts the advantage to Tarabukin and JST.
Yeah, and Luke Smith trying to still battle with JST right now. Can't quite find his way through. The medium tyre runners have survived initially here, as JST actually found himself under pressure from Luke Smith rather than able to put pressure on Andrei Tarabukin up ahead. And that is relieving for them, but there's still a lot more onslaught to come from the soft tyre runners in 4th, 5th and 6th. And that's such a shame for Paris Barrel, because even if he does get back in, he's been pitted onto a set of 21 lap old mediums, so he is down and out of this one. As now Luke Smith could be right here with JST, but JST actually gaining all the time on Andrei Tarabukin. Not going to be close enough to make a move into turn one, though. So the medium tyre runners live to fight another few corners at least.
Whoa, Gedone and Dylan Warren side by side through the centre S's. Oh, get very out of shape. Gedone returns to the track, gives Dylan Warren a bit of a punch in the face. Tom Martinez can't capitalise on it at the moment, as Gedone and Dylan Warren continue their fight all the way down to turn four. That's for 10th position. And the McLaren is forced wide. Dylan Warren will not be pleased about that, but returns into the position. Dylan Warren's car is in the pits again. He's going for a record on how many pit stops in a single race. But Edo Leo continues to lead, almost broken DRS back to Sam Bean. JST is nailed to the back of the Ferrari. Ulysses Zildrim is right with him. Chad Kinchi, we haven't spoken about for a while. There he is in the Mercedes. Lou Welch and Antoine. Well, you can see from the tower, everybody down to 14th still in this big long line. That's the view from the back of the train, which is Primoz Miklovic. I still can't get that name right. And Edo Leo has broken DRS back, but he's used all his battery power to do it. You can see he's got pretty much he's got very little left. But has it been enough as JST's making a move on Andrei Tarabukin? It's forced Luke Smith to go too deep. No gain made as yet. Let's get on board with this Zildrim, who's pushing the McLaren along the road. Nice defending from Luke Smith yet again. Now, is there going to be any movement? Edo Leo's maintaining a big gap up front, or comparatively big gap. My goodness, I don't know where to look.
Yeah, and everyone at the front, it's an arms race. Everyone's using all their battery power, but there's still 7 laps left to go in this one. So everyone shooting their shot right now as Luke Smith goes into the side of JST. Just about manages to hold on. He had that move pulled on him twice, and Ulash has yielded him. Unbelievable. 2 cars into Vignorino, and it all goes wrong, as you might have expected. Luke Smith is the one to lose out in the circumstance. He gets going again in the McLaren. But that was almost unbelievably good from Ulash has yielded him, but at the end it went the way we might have expected.
3 wide. Oh, Dylan Warren's in trouble. Both McLarens have come a cropper. Oh no, trouble for the team from Woking. That is not going to go well. But Edo Leo, what's his penalty count? 5 seconds he's got on the board at the moment. So Dylan Warren's coming into the pits. Both McLarens are coming into the pits. Dylan Warren has he's left the session. He's parked his car. Luke Smith has actually retired. So Dylan Warren's car is actually going to continue. Another ghost joins the field as Sam Bean's just been overtaken by Andrei Tarabukin. That's for 2nd place. Ulas Zildrim side by side with the Williams. As Sam Bean, I think, backed out of that one. He had a pretty uncomfortable run out of Descida del Lago. As that's given Zildrim now 3rd position. Tarabukin, with the penalty changes, may well steal the win.
Yeah, I mean, potentially, but one thing as there's battling further down is Antoine Dezaluski almost goes into the back of JST, who hasn't had the best restart of all time. Get-Owned is fighting with Antoine, and they both go off, and into the grass they go. It's just rallycross now for Antoine Dezaluski as he tries to regain the track and goes sliding off. And yeah, all the way down and out of the points for him as well. As now Chanakinchi goes for it. Ulash has yielded him's going for it on Andre Tarabukin, and right behind them Chanakinchi and Sambin are also side by side. As Ulash is the one to get advantage there, and Chan gets the better of Sambin as well. The soft tyres still working for these guys right now, as JST and Tom Martinez are going to be battling, and maybe Tom Martinez's decision
safety car
to get
again.
onto the soft tyres might have worked, but the safety car comes out again, as you mentioned. No one DNFing, but just too much debris on the track, I suppose. And now that's a whole other question for all these guys. What are they going to do next?
Yeah, no idea. Absolutely no idea how to call this one. Yeah, so Dezaluski and the Get-Owned both in the pits. 5 cars out of the race. Oh my days! I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I mean, the one that's benefited the most is Terry Birkin at the moment, because he's in net win or net winning position. Chanakinchi is due to get second. JST is looking like he'll get a podium at this rate, but we don't know how the last few laps are going to pan out. But we could finish this. Oh, we're so anticlimactic to finish the last race of the year behind the safety car.
Yeah, I think the safety car will come in with a couple of laps to go. So we should get a couple of laps of racing. Eduardo Leo, by the way, his penalty will almost certainly be removed. It's 5 seconds for a collision with Ika Baena, who we are almost certain is desynchronized from this race. So Eduardo Leo, I think we can read that as penaltyless almost certainly at the moment. And by the way, he used all his battery charge to break the DRS to Sam Bean behind, but Sam Bean also used all his battery charge trying to keep up, so it was an even fight, and Eduardo Leo managed to pull 1.7 seconds on the rest of the field before that safety car came out. Once again, just showing late in the race, exactly like we saw in Baku, towards the end of the race, Eduardo Leo just finds another gear, shifts up into it, and just drives away. Really impressive stuff, but now on the safety car restart, he's got the soft tyres of Ulash's Yildirim to contend with. Ulash's soft tyres are the oldest in the field.
But Ulas has a 3-second penalty. That'll be a track limit penalty. Now, it's not impossible for those to be removed, but it's very rare. So Ulas is essentially out of the running for the top spot. Granted, he's a stand-in driver, so he wouldn't. Also, actually, the top 3 are all stand-in drivers. Come to think of it, Chanakinchi is the top regular runner in this season. But Sam Bean has. Well, actually, Sam Bean, Antoine Dezaluski, and Primož Miklavčič. I will recite that several times. Write it on the blackboard 100 times. And Ghetto, they've all gone into the pits for fresh soft tyres. So there is possibility that they can make a late charge before the checkered flag falls.
Yeah, no, most certainly. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Tom Martinez and Ruben Pedreño, they're going to have a big advantage over JST, but Sam Bean and Dezaluski are going to have a big advantage over them. So, yeah, it's really going to be fascinating because we've got so many people at such different stages of tyre life and tyre wear at this stage of the race with the safety car. Surely going to be coming in probably at the end of this lap, you would imagine, to give us just 3 laps of racing at the very end here. And yeah, it's really hard to call. I still think Eduardo Leo, assuming that penalty is going to get removed, and I think that's an easy assumption to make, I think he is now in the prime position to win this, given how well the medium tyres held up on the first restart, and given that there is a few cars for the likes of Sam Bean and Antoine Dezaluski to get through before they even get close to the front runners. I think Eduardo Leo should still be in prime position to win.
I would agree. I would 100% agree with that. Well, it will all unfold as Paris Burrell has caught the back of the field then. So the safety car will be in this lap. 3 racing laps remain of F2 here at PSGL for 2021. 1 DRS lap as well. So Edo Leo in the pound seat was denied the win last time out of Baku. Gets the tail wagging even behind the safety car. Nicely done. But there's all sorts of shenanigans. We don't know what's going to happen. There we go. Confirmation safety car in this lap as we suspected. So here we go again. Eduardo Leo, this time with the Ulash Zildrim along with Andrei Tarabukin and Chanakinchi are the cars directly behind the Aston Martin. How is this going to... Oh, no, Tom Martinez has got that penalty. Now, is JST a ghosted car?
No, JST fully in this race.
Oh, dear.
Very heavy backing up being done as Edo Leo now pulls the trigger, catches everyone completely off guard. He's almost got a second already.
Wow, what a start from Edo Leo as he's absolutely flown off the line as we see as we ride on board with Louis Welch on Chanakinchi. Both of them coming into contact into turn one. Do manage to survive that one. Pedreño and Tom Martinez side by side. Those three wide, I mean, there's God knows how many wide now. People weaving away on the first racing lap of this restart. Still side by side, Pedreño and Martinez as they come through turn four, out up the hill. Who is going to win out here? Absolutely no idea. Pedreño's on the inside line. Surely he's going to win out. Oh my goodness me, can't see a thing. Sam Bean is still in there, still side by side between these two, Martinez and Pedreño. This is a battle for seven, neither of them giving up. Sam Bean's like, come on, I need to get on with this. Edo Leo and Ulysses Ildrim have broken away from Andrei Tarabukin. Finally, Martinez does manage to overcome Pedreño. Goodness me, but look at this. Eduardo Leo and Ulysses Ildrim are clear at the front of the field. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Andrei Tarabukin, by the way, he's used more battery power than either of the front two right now, and he still can't hold up with them. Louis Welch is going to have a go now around his outside and sends the move there. Andrei Tarabukin not fighting it as he's wont to do, as Sam Bean further behind is getting past one. That's Ruben Pedreño. Tom Martinez off the road ahead of him as well, as Ruben Pedreño picks up a 3-second time penalty in the middle of the center S's. Now, Antoine Desaluski also getting involved. This is going to be utter chaos in towards the Skiddo de Lago. Will there be an incident as JST is going to be defending from Tom Martinez at the very front? Sam Bean right in there behind them as well, and then just behind those guys it's Pedreño and Zaluski and Miklavcic also present, but Tom Martinez will be able to get the move done on JST. Sam Bean trying to follow him through as well, and he'll send it up the inside here, and just about staying alongside is JST, but he's going to struggle as he really gets a bit deep down the inside of Pinheirino, but Sam Bean finds the grip around the outside and also moves up into 7th position. Contact though as JST gets into the back of the Spaniard, and that's going to give Tom Martinez a little bit of a breather up in 6th. Chanakinchi as well in 5th. They almost dropped these guys outside of DRS.
Good Lord, it's impossible to know where to look. Riding on board with Miklavcic as he can see the whole charade unfolding in front of him. The guys ahead of him seem to be sorted for now, at least. Ika Baena that is having a go on Pedreño. There we go on the outside line as he's come across too early because Antoine Desaluski was slow. They've both spun. Oh my goodness me. Is that going to cause another safety car to come out? JST is caught up in that one. There we see Chanakinchi having a go at Tarabukin for 4th place. The Mercedes gets alongside and up ahead of the... Oh, and that's trouble. That's JST. Oh no, it's Tom Martinez. Tom Martinez is out. Oh my goodness me, it's getting really, really nasty up front, but Edo Leo has managed to hold on to that top spot for now. Louis Welch now up at the 3rd position. Good grief, that's unreal, but Ruben Pedreño's left the session. He's gone out at the tail end of the field. I think that's fairly academic. There's a Williams still stranded, but we're on the last racing lap. Oh my days, that's absolutely unreal. 7 cars gone from the race, but you'll win it. Well, you'll win across the line at least. The penalties are up for debate, but crossing the line first, that leads here for the final race of season 29 is Edo Leo. Ulysses Ildrim is going to cross the line second, but goodness me, that's going to shake out Chanakinchi. I didn't even have time to read the board, but Chanakinchi, I think, was deemed the winner of that one. I mean, pick a name from a hat. That was absolutely bonkers. Yeah,
I'm going to say I think with 90% surety that Eduardo Leo will be the winner of this race and will not get any penalty. He'll get the penalty removed. We're going to see Chanakinchi there in 2nd, as though he's taking the top step at the moment. And Andrei Tarabukin, also penaltyless, just like Chanakinchi. He crossed the line behind the Turkish driver. He'll finish in 3rd. And that should be the actual podium at the end of this race.
Lots of coulda, woulda, shouldas in that one, but bearing in mind there's a number of reserve drivers, I have no idea how those appeals are going to go. So I think we'll kind of bypass driver interviews this time, because I just genuinely have no idea how that's going to shake out. But the fastest lap at least belongs to the Turkish driver on the top step, or at least top step at the moment, of Chan Akinci. Andre Tarabukin deemed to be second. Ulysses Sildrum, after all that, he's classified in third. Louis Welch up into fourth. With Desaluski, bearing in mind he was last. Started at the back of the field, finished in fifth. Nicely done. Edo Leo, the one that at least crossed the line in the lead, as classified sixth. Sam Bean 7, Primoz Miklavcic in 8th, Ika Bayana 9, and Dylan Warren rounds out the top 10. My goodness me, that was utterly nuts. But yeah.
We've had another one of those races. It's not quite as bad as Baku in terms of the amount of incidents we saw, but there were a lot. And once again, I think we saw a ghosted car coming home in the points in that race. Ika Baena, who was desynchronized and ghosted, managed to come home in 9th. So, yeah, I think that tells us all we need to know. A lot of drivers retiring on that final lap or falling to the back of the order, ending up a lap down at the classification, but still getting classified for participating in more than 90% of the laps. But if Chan Akinci is the winner, that's his first race win of the season, despite the fact he already has 2 pole positions. So great news for him if he is the winner. His first podium was only last time out as well. This will guaranteed be at least his second podium. I think, though, that if I were to congratulate a winner right now, I'd be congratulating Eduardo Leo for his second win in a row, as his fairy tale on his just explosive entry into the league racing scene like no one I've seen before is continuing here with another fantastic drive.
Name to watch for the future, I think it's fair to say. But that is going to wrap it up here at PSGL for PCF2. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much to you, Mr. Aladar, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. A great pleasure as always, good sir.
Yes, likewise. Always a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to next season already.
Likewise, good sir. So yes, we will be back in the new year for season 30. Look how PSGL has grown from its humble beginnings way back when. But season 30 will be kicking off in the new year. Keep an eye on the socials. Keep an eye on the Discord. If you wanted to get involved, please do sign up. We always welcome any new driver wanting to get involved, even if you've never held a pad before or whether you're a seasoned ace. There is somewhere for you here at PSGL. But until we welcome in the new year and the new season, it is a good night from us. We'll see you very soon. Thank you very much, and good night.